The 18th century witnessed a clash of titans. On one side stood the Ottoman Empire, its traditional handloom cotton weaving industry a source of pride and prosperity. For centuries, skilled artisans had crafted exquisite fabrics, their intricate designs sought after across vast swathes of the world. On the other side, a new power was emerging, Great Britain fueled by the revolutionary force of the Industrial Revolution. Steam-powered looms churned out textiles at an unprecedented rate, flooding markets with affordable, mass-produced goods. This industrial might gave Britain a decisive edge, setting the stage for a confrontation that would reshape the global economic order. Cotton was more than just a fibre to the Ottoman Empire, it was the lifeblood of its economy. From the bustling bazaars of Istanbul to the far reaches of its vast territories, cotton production and trade fueled prosperity. Taxes levied on this thriving industry filled the empire's coffers, sustaining its military and administrative might. Recognizing the threat posed by British industrialization, Ottoman rulers implemented protective tariffs, hoping to shield their local producers from the influx of cheap British textiles. These measures aimed to preserve a way of life, to safeguard the livelihoods of countless artisans who relied on the time-honored traditions of cotton weaving. As Britain's Industrial Revolution gathered momentum, its appetite for raw materials and new markets grew insatiable. The rapid advancements in technology and manufacturing processes meant that British factories were producing goods at an unprecedented rate. However, this industrial boom also created a voracious demand for raw materials, such as cotton, which Britain could not produce domestically in sufficient quantities. Consequently, British industrialists and policymakers began to look beyond their shores for new sources of these essential materials. The Ottoman Empire, strategically positioned at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, became a prime target. Its vast territories and control over critical trade routes made it an attractive prospect for British interests. The empire's rich resources and strategic location offered a gateway to both Eastern markets and raw materials, which were crucial for sustaining Britain's industrial growth. The British saw an opportunity to expand their influence and secure their economic future by establishing a foothold in this pivotal region. British policymakers, driven by a potent mix of economic and geopolitical ambitions, began to view the Ottoman Empire through the lens of what became known as the Eastern Question. This term encapsulated the strategic dilemma of how to manage the decline of the Ottoman Empire in a way that would benefit British interests. The Eastern Question was not just about territorial gains, it was also about maintaining a balance of power in Europe and preventing rival empires from gaining a strategic advantage. This question, loaded with imperial overtones, centered on how best to secure British interests in a region increasingly perceived as vital to their expanding empire. British strategists and diplomats engaged in numerous discussions and debates, formulating plans to ensure that the Ottoman Empire's decline would not disrupt their access to essential trade routes and resources. The goal was to create a stable environment that would allow British commerce to flourish while keeping potential adversaries at bay. Opening up the Ottoman market, prying it open if necessary, became a key objective for British diplomacy and, increasingly, its military might. British officials and military leaders worked tirelessly to establish favourable trade agreements and, when diplomacy failed, they were not averse to using force to achieve their aims. The presence of British soldiers and colonial troops in the Ottoman region underscored the lengths to which Britain was willing to go to secure its interests. This aggressive approach was a clear indication of the importance placed on the Ottoman Empire within the broader context of British imperial strategy. In 1838, the clash between Ottoman tradition and British industrial might culminated in the signing of the Baltalimanı Agreement. This seemingly innocuous trade deal, signed under duress by the Ottoman Sultan Mahmud II, would prove to be a turning point in the empire's fortunes. The agreement effectively dismantled the Ottoman Empire's protective tariffs, opening the floodgates for a deluge of cheap British textiles. While touted as a pact of free trade, the Baltalimanı Agreement was, in reality, a highly unequal treaty that played to Britain's strengths while exploiting the Ottoman Empire's weaknesses. Section 5. Unraveling the Empire, the Economic Fallout of Free Trade. The Baltalimanı Agreement, signed in 1838, was a pivotal moment in the history of the Ottoman Empire. This treaty, which aimed to liberalize trade between the Ottoman Empire and the British Empire, had far-reaching consequences that were felt almost immediately. The consequences of the Baltalimanı Agreement were swift and devastating. The influx of British goods, particularly textiles, into the Ottoman market led to a rapid economic decline. Local industries, which had been the backbone of the Ottoman economy, struggled to compete with the cheaper, mass-produced British products. The Ottoman market, once a bastion of local production, was rapidly flooded with inexpensive British textiles. These goods were not only cheaper but also produced in much larger quantities, making it nearly impossible for local artisans to keep up. Unable to compete with the sheer volume and low prices of their British counterparts, Ottoman artisans found themselves driven out of business. Many workshops that had been in operation for generations were forced to close their doors, leaving countless craftsmen without a means to support their families. Workshops that had thrived for generations fell silent, their looms gathering dust. The once bustling centers of production became ghost towns filled with the remnants of a bygone era. The once bustling marketplaces, once brimming with the vibrant colors of locally produced fabrics, became dominated by mass-produced British goods. The local economy, which had been so vibrant and diverse, became increasingly dependent on foreign imports. The social fabric of the Ottoman Empire, so tightly woven with its traditional industries, began to unravel. The loss of local industries not only affected the economy, but also had profound social implications. Communities that had been built around these industries began to disintegrate, leading to widespread social unrest and a loss of cultural identity. The economic fallout of free trade, as exemplified by the Baltalimanı Agreement, serves as a stark reminder of the complex interplay between economics and society. Section 6. Shifting Sands, Demographic Upheaval in the Ottoman Realm. The economic earthquake triggered by the Baltalimanı Agreement sent shockwaves through Ottoman society. As once thriving industries collapsed, waves of unemployment swept across urban centers. Desperate for work and sustenance, people abandoned their traditional crafts and migrated in droves, seeking opportunities in the burgeoning industrial centers of Western Europe. This mass exodus drained the Ottoman Empire of its skilled workforce, further weakening its economic foundations. Section 7. Seeds of Dissent, Social Unrest in the Shadow of the Loom. The economic hardship and social dislocation wrought by the collapse of the Ottoman cotton industry fueled widespread discontent. People from all walks of life, artisans, merchants, intellectuals, began to question the wisdom of their rulers and their policies. This burgeoning resentment created fertile ground for the seeds of nationalist and anti-imperialist sentiment to take root. The Ottoman Empire, once a symbol of stability and power, found itself grappling with a rising tide of internal dissent, its authority increasingly challenged from within. Section 8. A world ignited Ottoman threads in the tapestry of war. The economic and social upheavals unleashed by the decline of the Ottoman cotton industry played a significant role in the complex web of events that led to the outbreak of World War I. The once thriving cotton industry, which had been a cornerstone of the Ottoman economy, faced severe challenges due to competition from American cotton and the industrial advancements in Europe. This decline not only affected the economy but also led to widespread social unrest and hardship among the population. The weakening of this vital industry contributed to the overall instability of the Ottoman Empire, making it more vulnerable to external pressures and internal strife. The Ottoman Empire, weakened and destabilized, became entangled in the escalating tensions between the great powers of Europe. As the empire struggled to maintain its sovereignty, it found itself increasingly drawn into the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized early 20th century geopolitics. The internal decay and external threats created a perfect storm, pushing the empire closer to the brink of collapse. Its alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary, driven in part by a desire to regain lost prestige and territory, proved to be a fateful decision. This alliance was seen as a way to counterbalance the threats posed by the Entente powers, but it also meant that the Ottoman Empire was now committed to a war that would stretch its already strained resources to the limit. The decision to side with the Central Powers was influenced by a complex mix of strategic calculations and a desperate bid to restore the empire's former glory. The Ottoman Empire, once a mighty power, found itself drawn into a global conflict that would ultimately seal its fate. The war exacerbated the empire's internal divisions and hastened its disintegration. By the end of World War I, the Ottoman Empire was a shadow of its former self, its territories carved up and its influence diminished. The legacy of the Ottoman Empire's involvement in the war is a testament to the far-reaching consequences of global conflict and the intricate tapestry of historical events that shape our world. Section 9. Echoes of Empire, the enduring legacy of cotton and conflict. The clash between Ottoman hand-loom cotton weaving and British industrial textile production serves as a stark reminder of the transformative power of industrialization and the often brutal realities of global economic competition. The story of the Baltalimanı Agreement and its aftermath highlights the profound and long-lasting consequences of unequal treaties, economic exploitation, and the social and political upheavals they can unleash. The echoes of this clash continue to resonate today, reminding us of the interconnectedness of economic forces, political decisions, and the enduring human cost of historical events.